jumping ahead a bit here to the Villa game, but
well, let's jump to the Villa game because I think there's more to talk about on that anyway, isn't there?
But I mean, but there were some parts of his game where he was beating players and nearly scored himself a couple of times actually. Just that I thought, if we can just get him right, and I know we've all said it, but I don't think we're a million miles away from it. And if he can get himself right, and we can find the right, the conditions for him, I think he really will be such a player for us. And I'd hate to lose him because I know we nearly did in the summer. But I think if all it will take is just one more player in that midfield who just be the if you like, the sort of magic dust that will just bring it all together, and he will flourish.
So do you think for that to work then, we would potentially replace either Højbjerg or Mora? Because if we played a 4-2-3-1, it's obviously different to a 4-3-3.
Yeah.
So you can, because you got kind of two banks of players in the midfield in a 4-2-3-1. So who would you replace? It's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And Højbjerg does do a job, but he's not really. It's hard to define exactly what he does. Really.
Apparently, for Denmark, he plays in a more advanced role than what he actually does for us. Which
I don't know if it was my imagination, but I thought he played a bit more advanced in that Villa game.
He did, because Skip was always deep. And of course he scored the goal, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So that did suit him better because remember the last pod actually, because I was giving him a bit of a hard time, but you said, Andy, that he does play a bit more further forward for Denmark, and I wonder if that's what they've been sort of doing some tinkering and adjusting with, like making him take up a position which is a bit more familiar to him, because he did have a very decent game, and so I'm not sure. I mean, because again he's still very young. Whether that would be the player I'd replace. Mora, I always do see. I know he brings on a lot of energy, but I still don't see him as a first team player for all the game.
He's not top quality, is he? That's the problem with him. He's not Sonny. He's not Sonny on the right hand side, is he?
No. I mean, he does a great job. I mean, and he's been better this season than I've seen him in previous seasons. I got to say, because I was one of those that probably thought over the last couple of seasons we'd probably be quite happy to see him sold. But of all the players that we've had, he has been one of the most consistent in really kind of trying to make things happen. So that I like to see that. I wouldn't want to sell him, but I think we probably need we need to be a bit more ruthless and get another player who can just link it all up. And we might have to make a tough decision on one of those two, but I think probably Mora might be that one.
You got to think as well, we've got Bergwijn that's currently injured as well, that would be vying for a place in the front three essentially. So there's plenty of options there. But
and of course we've got Brian. Is he the one that we should be replacing Mora with?
Could be. I mean, he seems to look good at that number 10 position as well. He could be. I don't know if he sees himself as a winger or somebody who comes in more, but I read somewhere that Nuno allegedly asked him to beef up a bit, and it's to suit the Premiership a bit more. But you can definitely see that he brings a lot to the game, but it is early days for him. I mean, what is he, 20?
Yeah, I think he's 20.
But, I mean, how many players have we brought in from abroad before? The likes of Clinton and forgotten his name. The other guy that we bought from was it Marseille? Was it the little winger? And Kudu.
Oh yeah.
And it's not Brian, from the first moment he slotted into the team, you can actually see he's a proper player, bags of talent.
Yeah.
Whereas usually we'll get these players in from abroad, and they're absolutely fucking useless. But you can actually see with Brian that there is an absolute proper footballer in there. Someone that wants to take the game by the scruff of the neck. He's not afraid to for someone so young to shirk responsibility, he's keen to get out there on the pitch and make an absolute difference. But
I think he is.
I don't mind us buying prospects, because I think that potentially is our model for a while, as long as they are ones that most clubs across Europe wanted. But your NGs and and Nkadus, and that they are total punts.
Yeah.
And they might work out, but I mean, generally they just don't, do they? I mean, so they're for me are like pretty crazy buys, because no one in the team's going to be really inspired by that. Whereas if there is a player like that, or like Sarr at the moment, who most of Europe are coveting, even though it might be a bit early, and we steal a march and getting them early, then I'm all for that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
Lee, did you just say they were punts or they were cunts?
Well, they are cunts.
I wouldn't use the C-bomb.
Yeah, well, we can use it on here because that's the kind of pod we are. But
I think just sort of going back to the Villa game, the first 20 minutes, I think, from my perspective, it was incredibly edgy, tetchy. We didn't play
15 minutes.
We didn't play that particularly well.
I think they came out the blocks though to try and get an early goal. Because they're a good team. They're definitely a good team.
Oh, they're doing a fantastic run of form as well.
But they play in a particular way, and they must be really buoyed at the moment, because they were, because they went to United and won there, which they hadn't done for many years. So I was worried in that first 10 minutes, but I was also really encouraged that we defended admirably, to be honest with you. I thought we were keeping them under bay. They weren't really struggling they were struggling to get a shot on goal. And apart from that corner where McGinn kind of volleyed it, because they've got this set piece coach, haven't they? So
that looks like Iggy Pop.
Yeah, that's right.
I thought Iggy Pop was on the bench. I thought, things can't be that hard. The royalties aren't coming in at the moment for Iggy. He's on the sly as a
exactly. He's got to do set piece coaching. Yeah.
I wonder if it was the snakes chip that turned the game, because the first, as you say, I thought probably first 10 minutes, maybe 15, that Villa looked like they were possibly on top, because they've been on a great run of form. They're very confident. Yeah. Like I said, the last post, I think they bought well, but there was a little moment after that, and maybe it was that audacious chip from Kane, and a lot of the players just thought, hang on, he fancies it, because I thought he looked really sharp actually. Kane, that game, he
looked good actually,
and then everyone started to raise it a bit, and I think once we did that and we started to pinging it around a bit, and we looked like we've had several chances, our kind of morale went up a bit, and really after that point, I think we played very well. I mean, this is the first game for a long time where actually I thought we had two good halves.
Oh yeah, definitely we did. Yeah.
But I think in terms of our defensive performance as well, first 10 to 15 minutes, I thought Romero was a little bit shaky, made a couple of stupid mistakes.
He did, didn't he? Made stupid passes. Yeah,
exactly. But I think in the end, he was absolutely everywhere. I mean, he put in more blocks on the pitch than Andy you've put on Twitter. Which
people have put on you, Jamie.
Yeah, exactly.
Or maybe not.
Yeah, I thought he was phenomenal. Actually, he absolutely put his body on the line, and he was. Him and Dyer played well as well.
I thought he did.
Dyer was putting the blocks.
I think Dyer raised his game because of Romero. And I think actually, just what you were saying, Jamie, there, I thought you're absolutely spot on with the amount of blocks. I mean, a number of them that were sort of awkward angles where he's on his knees, hands behind his back, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. He was putting everything in the way, wasn't he? Anything.
Yeah.
And Skip,
one moment Skip was doing the same. Skip had an overhead kick, didn't he? Back in the area, right on the goal line. That was good. But I thought Romero was brilliant. I thought he
was,
his passing and his composure. He's a young guy, but he plays like he's a 30-year-old CB, doesn't he?
It's funny. I've just looked up. He was born in April 1998, and fucking hell, does that make you feel old or what?
That's when my daughter was born.
Yeah, tragic. But just from our defensive performance, again, as I said, Romero was a bit shaky first 10 to 15 minutes. I thought Emerson Royale was a bit shaky as well. And he made a couple of mistakes, and I was thinking, fucking hell, we brought Aurier Mark II, but he really grew into the game as well. He grew with confidence. And I think we've got a real decent player.
Romero, my worry is he becomes another Richard Gough, and we lose him next season. Because I think he really looks to me that he's
he does. He reminds me a bit of Richard Gough. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
and I think he, like you were saying, put his body in the way loads of times. But I mean, there was one moment which he fell on his backside, but then the rest of the midfield fell on the backside at that moment when Watkins equalised. But the rest of the match, I thought he looked really, really strong, positionally aware. He runs in for challenges because he can see it ahead of what's going to happen.
Yeah,
I think he's got that kind of Jan Vertonghen vibe about him, where he's not afraid to go up the pitch. And I think that's perfect for us. I think it's what
he wants to do it, doesn't he? He does it two or three times a game.
You can't. He's got to play, isn't he? I think.
I think so. Yeah, definitely. So, so you thought Emerson Royal looked good, Jamie?
Yeah, he did. He did in the end. I think for sort of the last 60, 65 minutes, he looked fairly solid. He was, he grew in confidence. Wanted to get on the ball, and he was solid in the end. I mean, as I said, the first 15 minutes, I was just like, fucking hell. Why can't we buy a fucking right back that actually does what it says on the tin and that? We always seem to buy these right backs. I mean, Doherty against Mura Thursday was absolute dog shit.
I don't know what we're gonna have to get rid of him, aren't we? I mean, he's a joke, but
I mean, when we signed him for, was it £13 million? I thought, well, that is an absolute steal. And he can't cross the ball. It's almost as if his feet, his ankles, they turn to little chocky ankles, don't they? Like with Kane, where he can't kick the ball.
Yeah, I just think he's
or link up with anyone.
He's a player in the wrong side, maybe. I just don't know what's going on there, but he just seems to struggle, and doesn't look like it's ever really going to work. But
either that, or he spends too much time on Twitter looking at all the negativity.
He doesn't want to do that, does he? I mean, that would be madness. No.
He wouldn't turn up for training if he knew that, would he?
Yeah. I thought Reggie had a good game as well. So for the first time this season, I thought Reggie looked like he was getting in the right position, defending well, and in fact, the whole back four really overall had a decent game. So very encouraging. Very encouraging.
Again, Reggie's very young as well, and I think he hasn't. I think he hasn't had a great start to the season. But yesterday, the Villa game, on Sunday was just actually there was some signs there that he's starting to recognise more of what he should be doing, and sometimes it just takes a little while for that penny to drop. And I think actually Emerson's been quite quick to turn that around, because I know a few people have dug him out, but they both got bags of pace. And if they can learn those key aspects of the game, which is, the attack and defence, you never know. I mean, they could be the next Rose and Walker, couldn't they?
They could be. Yeah, that's right. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I thought the main guy on Sunday was Sonny, wasn't he? He was just
I mean, he's really showed his true worth to the club, hasn't he? And he absolutely gives his all, and it's almost like having a fan on the pitch, isn't it? Which for someone that doesn't have any links with Tottenham, as a supporter from an early age, or someone that grew up in that area, he
gets it, doesn't he?
He really does play like someone that was born sort of half a mile down the road, and
he does.
Did you see him also
breathed and eaten Spurs since the last 20 odd years?
Did you see him also at the crowd, just whipping them up, like hands going up, and I think that's what he obviously realizes, that we need the crowd on our side. And a couple of them, I saw Højbjerg doing that as well a couple of times, and I think they are all aware, right? We this is a collective. We all play a part in this.
It's strange, isn't it? Kane never really does that. He's very kind of cold and calm and collected on the pitch, isn't he? And doesn't really kind of want to connect that way. Yeah, It is kind of weird.
Because all he's thinking about is when he plays for Man City next season, and he,
That's right.
bangs in a hat trick against us. And,
or he's thinking about his brother Charlie, thinking, "What the fuck did he do this summer?" But